I'll do it after the introductions.
We are live on YouTube.
There we go.
It's Saturday Night Live, and no, it's really not because it's Tuesday night. Woo!
And Tableware Tuesdays, we are here to read The Man in the High Castle, the pilot episode. And before we go into the script itself, we're going to do some introductions of who's reading with us tonight. So I'll let Vicky start since she's our longest time reader here. So
Heck yeah.
Hello, I'm Vicky Dykes. I'm from Penhold, Alberta. My pronouns are she, her. Tonight I will be reading for Joe. Actions and descriptions in the second section. And some small roles, bartender, Shosh, and I do a woman's voice. You can find me on Facebook under the name Vicky Dykes, and I'm on Instagram. I'm YogaGramma10.
awesome. Next up, let's go to Aubrey.
Well, hey there, everybody. I'm Aubrey McCoy. My pronouns are, you can call me whatever. I will respond to any and all. And that is, I'll be reading tonight is Frank and Nakamura and some other very small roles, as well as actions and descriptions. You can find me all over the YouTubes. I'm in a lot of different places. I also have a album on Spotify. You can look it up called Unexpected Journey. And yeah, you can find me on Instagram under Lucy and the Fair and on YouTube, or not YouTube, sorry, Facebook as Aubrey McCoy.
Awesome. Simon.
All right. My name is Simon Squire. I'm in Halifax, Nova Scotia, Canada. And I'll be playing the roles of, descriptions and whatnot. I'll be doing the propaganda narrator, John Smith, a bus driver, and Inspector Keto. My pronouns are he, him, and I can be found on Blue Sky under Simon Squire Actor and Facebook under Simon Squire.
Awesome. Let's go to Heather.
Hello, all. I'm back. Isn't that wonderful? My name is Heather Lee Cameron. I'm an actor, I'm a freelance journalist, and I'm a creative freelancer. I can be found on Facebook under Heather Lee Freelancer, on Instagram under Heather Lee Cameron, and on YouTube under The Storm and Latter-day Saint, and you can find all my other links through there. Tonight I will be playing Warren, Trudy, Anne, barman in the neutral zone. I will be reading the actions and descriptions, and Baines and Rudolph Wigener. I don't know how to pronounce that. Who cares? I don't believe in the messages that this script is sending, but I am an actor. I am helping tell a story. I am performing a role. If you feel uncomfortable, you do not have to watch, but please respect what we are doing as actors because we are working very hard to help recommunicate a story that's already been told. And we respect all of your rights to do what you wish with what we are doing, but please respect our right to perform this story for you. We love you very much and respect your right to choose, so please respect us. Thank you.
Thanks, Heather. Let's go off to Shanna.
Hi there, I'm Shauna Toft. I'm in Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas, and I can be found on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, all the socials pretty much under my name, Shauna Toft. I'm also on Linktree, and you can get links to all my other profiles on there as well. I will be playing Juliana, Reese, Madsen, and a guard.
Awesome. And then off to John. You'll have to unmute because there was some background noise.
Hello, everyone. My name is John Clarice Gomez. I'm from Manila, Philippines. I'm a podcast host, and you can follow my podcast called The John Clarice Gomez Show on Instagram. And I also have an official Instagram account that was my personal, that for my podcast, at the JC Gomez Official, and that's it. And I am playing the role of teenager Donnie, herbalist, dog, aide, Evich, Vader, Randall, Man's Boys, Arnold, and Man, the Gestapo officer on phone.
Awesome.
That's it.
So he's got a lot of characters to keep track of. All right,
Yeah.
and I am Kat Wilson, one of your hosts tonight. And I am, my pronouns are she, her. I am from Gig Harbor, Washington. And tonight I'll be reading primarily Tagomi, as well as Japanese man and a Japanese officer, and the last set of actions and descriptions. And I will apologize right off the bat for my lack of a Japanese accent, despite the fact that my mom was full Japanese. She raised me because of racism. She wanted me to have an American accent growing up, which was very, she let me forget an entire language also. So I have a lot of personal feelings with this film here as we go through. Just to give you a little bit of background on the film, this one takes place in about in the early 1960s, when the premise is that the U.S. lost World War II and the Germans and Japanese instead won, and they divided the country up in half. So the Germans and the Nazis have sort of the eastern seaboard up through the Appalachians and a little bit beyond. The Japanese have all of the west coast and inward a little bit, and then the midwestern part of the United States is now a neutral zone full of lawlessness, kind of like the old West.
Yeehaw.
And Simon, I'm going to let you talk a little bit about what we might see in this film here too, and what we might want to avoid, if you'd like.
Yeah, so as previously mentioned, it takes place in the early 1960s, 1962 to be precise, and because of the setting in an alternate universe where the Axis powers were the ones that won out, basically there's going to be a lot of outdated language. There's going to be some Zig Heils. There's going to be some derogatory terms for Japanese, a little bit, well, some anti-Semitism. Those of us who are comfortable to read things as they're written will do so. Others will change and adapt as so. It's not a reflection of who we are. It's just a reflection of what's written. So
Awesome. All right. So without further ado, I think we'll jump right into the script. I'll go ahead and share it on our screen here, and hope that you enjoy listening to it.
I have it pulled up, by the way, just because I can't see that small print. I'm old.
That's fine. You're welcome to have it on.
Stop
your
it. You are
screen.
not old, Heather.
I'm 37. Can you believe that?
oh, I'm older than you.
You're
People
Yeah,
say I
me
look
too.
25.
Hooray, I'm not the baby anymore.
How old again?
a little larger here too, because it's let's see, I'm gonna get full screen here and then make the print a little larger for you all. Let's
It's
see.
a really good show, by the way. For anybody who's watching, it's on Amazon Prime Video. 4 seasons long.
Amazing.
Well,
So
I might.
I actually, so funny enough, I've actually seen the movie. There was a movie that was made of this, and I saw the movie, not a series. So
Is
that's
that,
why I didn't remember. But there is a movie that was made like the 90s
All right. Is
of
that
this.
larger for you
So
all?
And
Crazy.
this is it's based on a book by Philip K. Dick. He's the guy who wrote Do Androids Dream of Electric
Electric
Sheep, which
Sheep.
was translated to iRobot.
Blade Runner.
Also, yes.
Yes, there's also a book called iRobot by oh my gosh, his name is so, it's a different, anyways, yeah, we'll talk
All
about it
right,
later,
we can
Simon.
talk about it in the end. Let's get, this is a long script for a pilot episode, so let's
Yeah,
not
Alright.
there's so
too
much I could say about alternate
Mhm.
universes as an
Let's
actor and as an observer, but let's save that for later.
reading. All right, so Simon, you're up with action descriptions. Is this large enough print for everyone?
Well, let me just see here. Yeah, no, that's fine.
Okay, all right, take it away.
I see the
Okay.
script now.
So this is The Man in the High Castle's first episode, written by Frank Spotnitz, directed by David Semel, well, on TV. And it was written in August 2014. All right. Oh, I just got to move my chat window. All right. A musical fanfare, stirring and triumphant. Title card. Our Proud Nation. Then, newsreel, film, oversaturated Kodachrome color. Adolf Hitler greets Nazi officers at his mountaintop retreat in Bavaria. A grateful nation congratulates the Führer on the eve of his 50th anniversary as Reichs Chancellor. At 73, Hitler looks grandfatherly. His hair and toothbrush mustache have gone gray. His right hand is stuffed in his pocket. His wife, Ava Braun, 50s, is by his side. An era of strength and prosperity such as the world has never known. Thank you. Interior, movie theater, night. Joe Blake, late 20s, sits in the crowd. He checks his watch, on edge, having a hard time focusing on the screen where, angle over to the colored newsreel, shows soldiers firing carabiners, tanks crushing walls, Luftwaffe planes strafe cities, buildings ablaze. The Fuhrer's iron will has forged by 6 years of was born that. I'm going to restart that. The Fuhrer's iron will was forged by 6 years of bloody world war. Atomic mushroom clouds explode, leaving cities as vast ruins littered with thousands of corpses, ending with deployment of the Heisenberg device. Solemn surrender ceremonies. Our enemies vanquished, the Fuhrer determined to build a better world. Continued. Color film of Jews rounded up, shops broken and burned, heroic music stirs. A world cleansed of Jews, gypsies, homosexuals, and cripples. Office clerks and skyscrapers, factory workers at massive assembly lines, farmers plowing fields. A world united in common purpose, all content in their work, all looking towards a better future. A man, 30s, slicked hair, where'd it go? Sits beside Joe. He keeps his eyes on the screen, passes Joe a slip of paper. Music building. The Third Reich, the greatest industrial and agricultural force in history. Joe picks up an overnight bag, starts out. Behind him, a Nazi eagle fills the screen. Heil Hitler. Interior, theater, lobby, night. Vaulted ceilings, ornate scrollwork. A man wipes the candy counter while a cigarette girl, tray around her neck and fishnet stockings, picks at her red nails, bored. The sound of a cartoon spills from inside the theater as Joe makes his way past. He's anxious, but tries not to show it. He doesn't want to attract attention. Exterior, theater, night, 1. The marquee advertises The Punch Party, a remake of a frothy Nazi comedy starring Rock Hudson and June Allison. Joe steps out, makes sure no one's watching, then reaches for the slip of paper. An American eagle stamped on one side. On the others, Lariat Manager, 4112 East Montauk. Joe tucks the paper back in his pocket, then runs across the street, dodging checker cabs. Only now we see that we're in Times Square. Giant neon billboards pulse and strobe, but instead of ads for Coca-Cola and Camel cigarettes, an enormous swastika and signs bearing Nazi slogans. Work is freedom, productive capitalism, strength through happiness, the common good before the private good. A legend reads, Nazi-occupied New York City, 1962. As Joe disappears down a subway entrance, a woman stares at camera, sweat beaded on her brow, eyes fierce and focused. This is Juliana Crane, late 20s. Interior, dojo, day 1. Juliana stands opposite a beefy Japanese man, both in Aikido dress. Students line the mat. A moment before battle, and then the beefy man lunges at Juliana. She deflects, grabs his wrist, sends him tumbling on his ass. We track past the other students, all Japanese, all men in their 30s and 40s, all frowning, clearly rooting for the beefy man to beat this female upstart, except a skinny teenager who stares at Juliana, adoring, and Nakamura, the instructor's showman, watching impassively. Beefy man gets back on his feet, ready for another try. In cuts, he reaches for Juliana. She jabs his chest, throws him, flips him over, again, and again, and again. Nakamura stands, ends the match. The teenager sees the other men's dismay. Nakamura kneels to Beefy man, on his knees.
You are right.
Beefy man nods, winded. Nakamura smiles, good-natured.
Only your ego is bruised. This is the beauty of Aikido. It is not about harming your opponent. It does not attack. It depends.
He directs Beefy man back to his place at the mat's edge.
It requires skill, not strength. to turn an opponent's aggression against him. This is how a woman can defeat a man twice his size.
He smiles at Juliana, packs her gear. Oh, hang on a second. Oh, I see. The line jumped up. He smiles at Juliana, who smiles back, modest but pleased. Class over, Juliana packs her gear. She feels the glares of the other students, ignores them. The teenager approaches.
Miss Crane, congratulations.
Thank you, Donnie. You can call me Juliana, you know.
She hooks a necklace with a delicate heart-shaped pendant.
Your necklace, it's very lonely.
Thanks. My boyfriend made it.
Ah, is he an artist?
He used to be.
Mustering his courage.
Juliana, would you allow me to buy some tea?
I can't. My mother's expecting me. How about tomorrow before class?
Off Donnie's smile. Exterior, street, day 1. Juliana, bag over her shoulder, walks out of the dojo, passes rickshaws, Japanese soldiers, signs in kanji, and a banner being hoisted. Welcome HIH, the Crown Prince and Princess. As Juliana walks, camera rises up, revealing the San Francisco skyline. The Golden Gate Bridge spanning the bay. A legend reads, Japanese-occupied San Francisco. Exterior, Brooklyn Street, night 1. A seedy neighborhood in East New York. An elevated monorail glides past. The skyscrapers of Manhattan beyond. Joe exits the station, glances at the slip of paper. A sign confirms this is Montauk Avenue. He looks down the block, sees Lariat Shipping and Moving. He heads towards it, passing Gestapo officers questioning a man, examining his identity papers under a streetlight. One officer, bald, prominent hook nose, eyes Joe. Joe averts his gaze, keeps going. As he pulls open the door to Lariat Shipping, interior, Lariat Shipping, night 1. Whir of power tools, hiss of a blowtorch. It's busy even at this hour. Mechanics working on long-haul trucks. A man points Joe to an office on the 2nd floor. Joe passes another mechanic, 30s, muscled with prison tats. He glances at him, then goes back to work. Interior, Lariat Shipping, office. Night 1. Joe knocks on the half-open door, then steps inside. Sees a man facing the window.
Are you the manager, Mr. Warren?
Don Warren, 50s, unshaven, doesn't turn. He's facing a bank of black and white surveillance monitors. One of them, he sees a Gestapo officers questioning the man on the street.
Yeah.
I'm Joe Blake.
So?
I was told you have a job.
And who told you that, Joe Blake?
Joe smiles, polite, nervous.
I didn't get his name. Just this.
Joe sets down the paper. Warren turns, sees it on his desk, studies the American Eagle symbol, then looks at Joe.
So this is what they send me now. How old are you? 28?
27.
27. What the hell you doing here, Joe Blake?
I want my country back.
You want it back? You never had it.
Sir?
You were still sucking your thumb when they dropped the bomb. This crap hole's the only country you've ever known.
My father told me what it was like. Before the war, I mean.
Joe takes out a Zippo lighter, ignites the paper.
Your father, huh?
He said every man was free.
The paper, consumed by flames. Warren drops it into an ashtray.
How do I know you're not a spy?
A spy?
Warren taps a German cigarette out of a pack.
The resistance, what's left of it, is shot through with them. Half my friends are dead. Guess that's why they're down to kids like you.
I'm not a spy.
Joe lights the cigarette, breathes out a stream of smoke.
You know what those brown shirts out there would do if they caught you?
I'm not afraid to die.
Huh, me either. Might be kind of a relief, actually. But how do you feel about pain?
Pain?
Yeah, when they're plucking your fingernails out one by one, or cracking your balls open like walnuts. That's when you maybe stop caring about what your old man said and tell Johnny Jackboot out there my name. Just about anything else he wants.
You're so afraid? Why are you here?
I fought in the war, kid. I saw my buddy's brains get blown out on Virginia Beach. You're just a punk who could get me caught.
Joe thinks. After a beat,
I guess I am afraid of pain. I don't have any buddies who died in the war, and I don't really know what freedom is. But I'm not a punk, and I'm not a spy, Mr. Warren. I'm here because I want to do the right thing. So you going to give me the job or not?
Warren exhales smoke, thinking. Omitted? Internal, herbal shop, day 1. Shelves lined with Chinese herbs in glass jars and boxes. Japanese foot traffic. Signage outside the shop window. A bell rings as Juliana enters. An old lady herbalist nods.
Konnichiwa.
Konnichiwa. I need some gentian root and meadowsweet.
For you?
The bell rings.
Jules?
Juliana sees her half-sister, Trudy Walker, mid-20s, hurrying in, breathless.
I've been looking for you.
No, for my mother. My mother has arthritis.
Arthritis. One moment, please.
The herbalist goes to the back room. Juliana turns to Trudy, surprised to see her.
Rudy, you're back?
Trudy always has a reckless, bohemian air, but especially today. She looks over her shoulder as if expecting someone.
I'm not staying. And don't tell Mom. I don't want the guilt thing.
Where you been? I've been trying to reach you for weeks.
Sorry. I had work. Out of town.
You got a job?
Trudy knows she's been flaky. Proud, but insecure.
Yeah, me. Can you believe it?
Juliana tries to hide her skepticism.
Of course I can. What is it?
Trudy senses her doubt. It stings, but she doesn't blame Juliana. Just tries to blow past it.
I'll explain later. I've got to go.
That's what you came to tell me? Hello and goodbye?
Trudy stops and sighs. There's so much she'd like to say, but so little that she can.
You've always looked after me, sis, but you don't need to anymore.
Juliana smiles, confused and a little worried.
Oh yeah? Why is that?
I found the reason.
She's excited, thinks Juliana will understand what this means, but it only seems like more of Trudy's wacky talk.
The reason?
For everything.
Trudy pulls Juliana into a hug with deep emotion.
Take care of yourself, sis.
Trudy makes a quick smile and starts out, leaving Juliana even more concerned.
Rudy?
But now she's gone, and the herbalist has returned.
Gentian, root, and meadowsweet, 6 yen.
She sets down the herbs, neatly bundled in little brown paper, wrapped packets. Juliana reluctantly takes out her money, her mind still on Trudy.
Arigato.
Interior, Lariat Shipping, Night 1. Tattooed mechanic bolts a tire on a car, raised on a lift.
Doc,
He turns, sees Warren outside his office, beckoning him.
Doc!
The mechanic, Doc, wipes his hands on a rag. Interior, Lariat Shipping, Office, Night 1. Doc spreads flat a map across the desk. Joe leans in. It shows the United States divided into sectors. The Greater Nazi Reich occupies the country from the east through the Midwest. The Japanese Pacific states control the West. the Rocky Mountains acting as a neutral zone between. Doc traces a path from New York to Cannon City, Colorado.
You'll take the Autobahn all the way across the range, stopping you, Canyon City.
That's the neutral zone.
So he can read a map too.
What am I going to do there?
You wait.
You wait.
You wait. Your contact will approach you if and when he determines it's safe.
And if he doesn't?
Then the Nazis are onto you. You're dead.
Doc hands him an envelope.
What's this?
Ben Serdwin, you get sleepy on the road. Pop some, no stopping.
Joe looks at the little white pills inside.
These why he calls you Doc?
Wooey, these kids pass.
You can talk to me, you know. I'm in the room.
Doc smirks. Warren hands him a .45 caliber revolver.
Know how to use one of these?
What do I need that for?
Any luck, you don't. You know how to use it or not?
Joe takes the gun, tucks it under his jacket.
I've seen the movies. Point, shoot.
Pre-lap a trailer gate rattling shut, then cut to interior, Lariat Shipping, Night 1. A semi-truck with a 16-foot trailer. Doc locks it as Warren walks Joe to the cab.
What's my cargo?
Good German coffee makers.
Joe?
What's my cargo?
No, the next one.
Good
that's-
German coffee makers.
That's not what I meant.
Doc looks to Warren.
You heard what curiosity did to the cat? Coffee makers. Now get going.
Joe tosses his overnight bag into the cab of the truck, sits behind the wheel, turning over the engine.
See you when I get back?
You'll never see us again. That's the way it works. Take care, kid.
Joe looks at Doc and Warren, sees their gruffness for what it is. Cover. A way of not getting too close. Underneath, it seems all these are good men. When whistles, garage doors rattle open, Klieg lights blare, Gestapo stream in, German shepherd dogs barking. A raid. Some mechanics run, others raise hands in surrender. Doc pulls out a Walther PPK hidden in his waist, starts shooting. Warren shouts at Joe.
Drive! Go!
Instead, Joe raises his gun, aims it at Warren, fires, but the bullet doesn't hit Warren. It hits the hook-nosed officer behind Warren, about to shoot him. He falls, blood smearing concrete. Warren turns back to Joe.
Get the hell out of here!
Joe shifts in reverse. Tires screech, truck barreling away from us as Doc steps close in frame, shooting past camera. Then, turning. He and Warren running to the back as exterior, Lariat Shipping, alley, Night 1. Joe fishtails onto the road, Gestapo driving out of the way. Angle, back alley. Warren and Doc burst out, Warren running one way, Doc the other. Gestapo follow, letting dogs off their leashes. Doc scrambles over a fence, escaping, but Warren runs huffing and puffing for his life. Dogs gaining, and then jumping on him, biting his arms and legs. Warren bleeding, helpless. Inside the truck, Joe looks in his rearview mirror, sees Lariat growing smaller behind him. He's lost the Gestapo. He lets out a sigh as interior Lariat Shipping, Night 1. An officer drags Warren, torn and bloody, back into the garage.
Obergrufenführer Smith?
Hearing his name, John Smith, 40s, brow-creamed hair, turns to face us, tall with dark eyes and cold intelligence. His rank is German, but, like all the Nazis here, Smith is American-born, speaks unaccented English. He looks at Warren, satisfied, then turns to an aide, returning from the street. And the truck?
Gone.
Interior, apartment. Whoop. San Francisco, evening 1.
That's
Ma-
Vicky's. Switching
Oh, is
narrators.
is it Vicky's time now?
Yep.
Oh, sorry.
Interior apartment, San Francisco, evening 1. Modest secondhand feel. Juliana is at the stove, pouring tea made from the gentian root she bought at the herbalist. Her mother, Anne Crane Walker, sits in the living room, a game show on TV. I've got a secret, a celebrity guest in Nazi uniform. Her stepfather, Arnold Walker, reads a paper. The headline about the Japanese crown prince's visit.
Oh, those uniforms. I can't stand to watch.
John, I think that's you, and I get it.
So change it.
Then I won't find out his secrets.
Here you go.
What's this?
It's from the herbalist.
The herbalist.
Anne drinks a tea but still grumbles.
Tea? Karate? Ah,
It's not karate, it's Aikido. I was first in class today, Ma.
I don't know why you love that so much. Those people, they killed your father.
Come on, Ma. Mr. Nakamura is one of the good guys.
They marched my poor John to his death. Now his own daughter thinks they're the good guys?
Exercise is good for her. And after the accident and all.
Your father's spinning in his grave. I tell you that.
This hurts Juliana, but she doesn't want to argue.
You have to go.
Go? You just got here.
Frank's waiting.
I'll get your coat.
Sayonara, Mama-san.
Anne purses her lips. Arnold goes to the door, holds up Juliana's coat. Juliana speaks out of earshot of her mother.
I saw Trudy this afternoon.
Where she disappeared to.
She said she got some kind of job.
Oh, brother, why can't my own daughter be more like you?
Juliana feels defensiveness of her sister, despite her own skepticism, maybe because of it.
She seemed good. Really.
Arnold makes a don't hold your breath face, and then
Your mother has a point. You know about the Aikido.
Thought you were on my side.
I'm always on your side. But the Japs make the rules, not us. And it doesn't look right. A white woman is studying yellow ways.
This has nothing to do with race.
Oh no? How many white people in your class?
Juliana frowns and then goes. We cut to the exterior street, San Francisco, evening. A cable car climbs up a hill. Japanese rice-a-roni, the San Francisco treat, advertised on the rear panel. The street is lightly trafficked with pedestrians. Into frame steps Trudy, a black satchel over her shoulder. She looks apprehensive as she stops, surveils the scene. Japanese soldiers patrol nearby. 2 Japanese men in suits loiter in an adjacent park, smoking. The coast seems clear. Gathering her nerve, Trudy heads towards the port. Huge cargo ships lit by mercury vapor lights, men with bare chests unloading crates and containers. Resume, Trudy, approaching. But as she does, the Japanese men start to calmly follow from a distance. They're secret police, the Japanese soldiers falling in line, unseen by Trudy. Exterior the port, evening. A bearded man, 20s, thin, sees Trudy coming. He's been hauling crates. But now he stops, wipes his hands with a rag, moves inside one of the cargo holds. Trudy follows him. Angle cargo hold. Dark, lit by only a few bare bulbs. The bearded man quickly pulls out a shirt, buttons and tucks it in. Trudy enters.
Randall.
A bearded man, Randall, goes to her, kisses her.
You okay?
Trudy nods, trying to be brave.
I'm okay.
He pulls out an identical black satchel hidden behind a crate, exchanges it with the one she's been holding.
This is it?
That's it. See you tomorrow.
The words won't come. She's too scared. She manages a nod.
I love you. You know that?
I know.
Better get going.
Trudy takes the satchel, heads off. Randall going the other way as we angle to the secret policeman. Enter the cargo hold. Find it empty. The man in charge wears wire frame glasses, gives orders to the others in Japanese. As they split up, we angle to Trudy, moves past the ships, a view of Alcatraz Island beyond. She sees Japanese soldiers coming after her, ducks out of view. Angle on the Japanese soldiers. They pass. Only after they're gone do we find Trudy hiding out of sight. As she moves off in the other direction, interior bar, San Francisco night. Frank Frick, 30s, nurses a beer, watching color TV showing the Crown Prince boarding an ocean liner in Tokyo. As Juliana enters, Frank stands, kisses her. To the bartender,
Sake cocktail. Where's Ed?
He's coming. You all right?
Fine.
she's not. Frank can tell.
What's the matter, Jules?
Juliana thinks about denying it and then sighs.
My mom. She says Dad's spinning in his grave because I'm studying the evil ways of the Yellow Man, and Arnold agrees with her.
Of course he does.
Aikido has nothing to do with the men who killed my father. It's so beautiful. It's the opposite of those men.
Juliana's cocktail arrives. She sighs.
I can't believe how screwed up the world is.
'Twas ever thou, and ever thus. Oh, 'twas. Let me try that again. 'Twas ever thus, and ever thus it shall be.
I don't believe that. I don't believe you do either.
I'm just a worker bee doll. I don't know what to believe.
You're an artist, Frank. A really good one. You should be making art.
Yeah, well, they won the war, and they think modern art's degenerate. At least we have each other.
Yeah. And what are we supposed to do with us?
Well, now you're back on your feet. You can get a job and then get married, have kids.
Juliana's smile fades. Gently,
You really want to raise kids in a world like this?
Somebody has to.
If anyone found out your grandfather was a Jew,
Frank nods, exhales.
Well, it didn't stop Laura.
Juliana slides away her drink.
I'm getting a headache. Mind if I go home?
I'll go with you.
You stay. Wait for Ed.
She musters a smile, kisses him. He watches her go, but he's concerned. Exterior street, San Francisco night. Juliana bites her lip, lost in her own troubled thoughts, approaching the steps to her apartment when
Juliana.
she turns, sees Trudy running towards her. She's breathless, eyes frightened.
Rudy? I thought you were leaving.
She presses the black satchel into her hands.
Take this.
What is it?
Trudy looks over her shoulder.
Get inside, quick.
Trudy? What is this?
Trudy meets her eyes,
Away. Out.
then runs off. Juliana now sees the Japanese men and soldiers down the street, chasing Trudy. Juliana ducks back into her alcove, out of their links of vision, or line of vision.
Yamate, stop!
Trudy keeps sprinting as fast as she can, rounds the corner, as the Japanese men and the soldiers charge past Juliana. Angle on Trudy. Turns out this is a dead end. No place for her to run or hide. She turns as one of the soldiers stops, raises his rifle, terror in her eyes. We close on Juliana. Steps out of the alcove, moving to follow, when blam, she hears a gunshot. Her heart rises in her throat, chest thumping hard. She runs round the corner, then stops, covers her mouth, stifling a cry, eyes wide with horror as the Japanese men approach Trudy's body, lying in the middle of the street, a gaping bloody hole in the center of her back. The wireframe man rolls her over with his shoe. Trudy's eyes stare up at him, lifeless. The wireframe man scans the area, looking for something, tersely giving orders to the soldiers. Angle on Juliana, looks from the wireframe man to the black satchel in her hands, knows this is what he's looking for. As she turns, hurries back to her apartment, shakily keys her in her door. Interior Frank and Juliana's apartment night. Juliana bolts the door, reeling from shock, and then, with trembling hands, she unsnaps the satchel. An object wrapped in torn sheets of manga comics. She rips them open, finds a reel of 16 millimeter film. At the center of the spool, someone has handwritten the words, "The grasshopper lies heavy." Juliana stares, confused at what this means, what her sister was doing with it, and why it's worth dying for. We cut to the exterior Audubon, late night. A ribbon of high-speed traffic, headlights spoken into the rural night as Joe's semi grows close, passing camera. Interior semi-truck, late night. Joe behind the wheel, turning from one news station to another on the radio, listening for a report on him, when a police siren. It sounds. Joe looks in his rear view mirror, sees red lights flashing, a police car gaining on him. Close on Joe, swallows, his heart rising in his throat. He takes his foot off the gas pedal, but doesn't brake. Not certain yet whether the siren is for him when the police car passes. In pursuit of another vehicle, Joe lets out a ragged sigh and then clicks off the radio. We cut to the exterior Rikers Island, late night. Rain pours down. A tugboat slices through the East River, docks. Obergruppenführer Smith, the Gestapo officer from the raid, exits, flanked by an aide. The aide holds an umbrella, but Smith walks through the rain toward the massive jail complex, ringed by razor wire. Interior, Rikers Island, late night. Close on black leather boots. Smith moving down a long, dark hall. Guards stand at attention, giving the Nazi salute. We cut to the interior Rikers Island cell, late night. Don Warren hangs from the ceiling in chains, wrists tied behind his back. He is shirtless, a guard beating his chest with a stick wrapped in barbed wire. The guard stops, seeing Smith enter. Smith examines Warren's injuries, face bruised and cut, his chest a mass of bloody wounds. Smith reaches for a dirty rag, dips it in a bucket. He squeezes some water into Warren's mouth, who laps it up.
There. That better?
He gently wipes some of the blood off Warren's face.
You are a mess, Mr. Warren. This will end badly for you.
Didn't start too good.
Where was the truck headed?
Alabama. Birmingham. I told your friend here.
And the cargo?
Coffee makers.
Smith smiles.
Your men shoot at us to keep us from intercepting coffee makers.
They're stolen. He didn't want to go to jail.
You're the resistance leader for East New York, Mr. Warren. We've known it for about a month now, ever since we intercepted one of these.
Smith produces a paper. Then the printed American Eagle on it.
This is the symbol of your movement, is it not?
Warren says nothing, but his silence confirms it.
We know where that truck was headed and what it was carrying.
You know so much. What do you want with me?
But Smith, he just nods to the guard. He can resume his torture. Seeing Smith start to leave,
What do you want?
Smith walks out of the room, down the hall, Warren shouting after him as we hear the beating resume.
What do you want?
We cut to the interior, Frank and Juliana's apartment night. A closet opens. Juliana searches behind the clothes, finds several cans of home movies, old cartoons, then a heavy case. She unsnaps it, revealing a 16mm projector. Juliana threads Trudy's reel of film through the sprockets and then pulls down a window shade, switches on the projector, and the beam of light catching dust motes floating in the air. In the room, silent except for the whir of the projector. We see scratchy film leader, but before the film proper begins, we go close on Juliana. Shadows play across her face. She stares, confused and disturbed. Interior bar, night.
I think it's
Frank
me.
sits it as Ed McCarthy, 30s.
Vicky, that's Simon's.
You see that Frank Weissenbier?
Okay, interior bar, night one. Frank sits as Ed McCarthy, 30s, glasses, enters, points to colored footage of Hitler greeting smiling children on TV.
You see that Frank Weissenbier?
See what?
Mr. Hitler's right hand.
What about it?
It's in his pocket. You know why?
So I can play with his balls because nobody else will?
The old bastard's got Parkinson's. His hand shakes like shit. How much longer you think he's got?
The phone behind the bar rings. The bartender answers.
I don't know. A year?
6 months tops, then Goebbels or Himmler takes over, and this time they won't just flatten DC with the H-bomb. They'll wipe out the whole West Coast. Boom.
Is your name Frank?
Yeah.
Then this is for you.
Hello?
Oh, bloody hell, I forgot to. He sets the phone down on the
Oh.
bar. Goes off. Frank knows this can't be good news if someone is tracking down here.
Hello?
Interior, Juliana's apartment, night one. Juliana speaking in an urgent whisper.
Is Ed there?
Yeah.
Don't tell him where you're going. Just come home now.
What is it?
I'll tell you when you get here.
Ed's beer comes. Frank hangs up, thinking, reading his face.
Something wrong?
I've got to go.
You shitting me. I just got here.
Frank
See you. Go ahead, sorry.
Frank leaves some yen notes.
See you at work.
Frank hurries out, Ed shaking his head, exasperated as he sips his beer. Pre-lap knocking. Interior, Juliana's apartment, night 1. Juliana unchains the door, seeing the worry in her eyes.
Jules, what?
Juliana closes and chains the door, crossing to the projector.
The lights. I want you to watch something.
Okay.
Frank flicks the switch, the room going dark. Juliana turns on the projector, Frank watching. Silent black and white footage from World War II, but very different from the color film we saw in the Nazi newsreel. American troops land on D-Day. The Allies liberate Paris. Berlin lies in ruins. GIs cheering, kissing girls in Times Square, celebrating VE Day.
What is this?
Newsreel film.
Yeah, I see that.
It shows us winning the war.
But we didn't win the war.
That's what they told us.
She has a defiant edge, but Frank looks back at the film.
Jesus. I know what this is.
What?
The Man in the High Castle.
The who?
The Man in the High Castle. I don't know why they call him that, but Ed told me all about him. He makes these anti-fascist movies.
Makes them? GIs in Times Square?
I know they look real.
Look real? They are real, Frank.
But they can't be. Can they?
Juliana has no explanation as the film runs out. Its tail flapping wildly. Frank clicks off the projector.
Listen, whatever these films are, Ed said Hitler himself is obsessed with drawing them.
Why? If they're just stupid movies.
Point is, possessing them is treason, punishable by death. How did you get them?
Juliana looks down, then quiet.
Trudy gave them to me.
Trudy? What's she doing with this?
I don't know. She's dead.
What?
They shot her. On the street.
The enormity of this lands on Frank. He stands stunned, then takes Juliana in his arms, kisses the top of her head.
I'm so sorry.
Frank pulls back, meets her eyes, tender but empathic.
You have to go to the police.
The police are the ones who shot her.
You have to say you weren't close. She was only your half sister.
No.
No, you didn't know what she gave you. You're a loyal subject and will cooperate fully.
You died for this, Frank.
They have to think you know nothing about this, or they will kill you. They'll kill you too. You think Trudy would want that?
Off Juliana. Interior semi-truck moving late night 1. Joe rubs his eyes, driving, then sees a makeshift checkpoint on the Autobahn up ahead. Nazi officers with dogs searching all vehicles. Joe thinks, then turns on his blinker, exiting. Cut to SCS 29. Oh, that's the page notes. Interior, exterior, semi-truck, roadside, late night 1. Joe's pulled to a stop on the shoulder. He keys open the trailer gate, finding it stacked high with cardboard boxes. Trailer. Joe snicks on a flashlight, cuts open one of the boxes. It's full of German coffee makers, just as Don Warren said. He edges through the boxes, shining his flashlight on the floor, the ceiling, looking for something. He sighs, frustrated, then spots a low-rise creeper dolly. Undercarriage. Joe wheels himself underneath on the dolly, inspecting the undercarriage, tapping on pipes, still finding nothing, when he notices masking tape stuck in a rectangle. He peels back the tape, revealing a metal compartment screwed shut underneath. Joe sets down the flashlight, takes an army knife from his pocket, opening the compartment, finding a manila envelope. Cab. Joe sits behind the wheel, unclasps the envelope. Whoop. Wrapped in Nazi newspapers, he finds a roll of 16mm film. Not identical, but similar to Juliana's. But, like hers, someone has written "The grasshopper lies heavy" on it. Joe stares at it, thinking. Exterior checkpoint, late night 1. Joe rolls to a stop, takes travel permits from the glove box, waiting while officers search, masking his anxiety. Cut to exterior Nazi embassy, San
And
Francisco.
that's Heather's.
All right.
Exterior Nazi Embassy, San Francisco, day 2. The Federal Reserve Building, festooned with Nazi banners. A plaque identifies the Embassy of the Greater Nazi Reich. Interior Nazi Embassy, day 2. A high-ceilinged room, a heroic-style portrait of Hitler. Hugo Reis, 40s, trim, is the Nazi ambassador. He and his aide, SS officer Kurt Schausch, 30s, in conference with Tagomi, 50s, head of the Japanese trade mission, and his associate Kimakishi, 30s, thin. Both Tagomi and Kotomichi immaculately dressed in tailored suits. They stand over blueprints, tiny plastic figures representing Nazi officers and members of the Japanese delegation.
And then I will escort the crown prince and princess into this room where we will take tea.
Tagomi frowns, looks to Kotomichi. Reese shares a look with Shosh.
Is there a problem, Mr. Takomi?
We're very sorry, but the furniture in this room, it is not appropriate for the crown prince and princess.
Great Minister, I assure you these are very fine pieces, the same as the Führer has in Berlin.
Tagomi bites his lip. Deeply embarrassed, Reese privately gives Skoush another "what the feck" look.
We are happy to replace it, of course, if you'll send us information on the proper pieces.
Tagomi is relieved.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Ambassador. These are excellent plans.
We're deeply honored to receive the Crown Prince and Princess as guests here at the embassy.
It is an harmonious expression of the friendship between human and Japanese peoples.
Indeed.
An awkward moment. Tagomi and Kotomichi bow. The two Nazis reply with salutes. After the Japanese have gone,
The hell was that about?
The furniture doesn't have chi.
Chi?
One of the 5 great elements. It comes from the Chinese. They believe there's a spirit in things, bringing good or bad luck.
Superstitious slant-eyed crap. I don't understand why the Führer allowed these people to rule half the continent.
Are loud, but for how much longer?
Reese smiles. Exterior Nazi Embassy, day 2. Tagomi and Kotomichi walk down steps to a waiting Mercedes limousine.
The Nazi ambassador has disdain.
He only understands a world he can see.
You seem troubled, Trade Minister.
It is a time of great uncertainty, Mr. Kotomichi. The Führer is said to be very ill.
Surely his successor will continue a policy of peaceful cooperation.
I consulted the oracle. The reply was the 12th pentagram.
Danger. Pay attention.
Tagomi nods, climbs in the limousine. As Kotomichi follows, troubled now as well. Interior, Frank and Juliana's apartment, bedroom, day 2. Frank knots his necktie, then stops, staring at a drafting table in the corner, scattered with painted canvases, pastel sketches, and various art supplies. Frank goes to the table, fishes out some hand-drawn jewelry designs. He thinks for a beat, then picks up the designs, stuffs them into a green portfolio. Interior Frank and Juliana's apartment, kitchen, day 2. Juliana sits at the table, staring at Trudy's satchel. After a moment, she picks it up, searches inside, finds an envelope. She pulls out the paper inside as Frank enters.
You sleep?
Fudge.
What's that?
A ticket for the 10:30 bus.
Cannon City, Colorado.
Trudy told me she was going out of town. On the back, she wrote something.
What does it say?
It's in pencil. It's kind of smudged. Looks like Sunrise Diner, 12:05,
5 minutes after 12?
I guess.
Maybe she was supposed to take the film there.
She told me she got a job.
Never would have pegged Trudy as a resistance fighter. Come on.
What?
I'll take you to the police station.
You're not coming with me.
Why not?
The last thing you need is trouble with the police, Frank. The less we make of this, the better.
I still think I should go.
Not a chance. I'll take it. Then I'll go tell Mom what happened. And Arnold.
I'm so sorry, Jules.
Juliana looks at him, emotion rising.
I don't know what I would have done without you, Frank. After the accident, you picked me up, literally put me on my feet.
Nobody could keep you down for long, Jules. Not even a bus. I just happened to be standing there.
She kisses him. Frank makes a crooked sign.
You call me, okay?
I will.
See you tonight.
Juliana smiles, nods.
Yeah.
Frank goes. Juliana stands in the empty apartment a moment, her brave face melting away now that he's left. Then she turns, picks up the satchel, stuffing the ticket back inside. Cut to bedroom. Dresser drawers opened, emptied, clothes dumped in an overnight bag. Toiletries cleared from a shelf, tumbling in the bag. Juliana snaps it closed, swings the medicine cabinet shut, then catches sight of her face in the mirror. She stares, reflecting on what she's doing, then brings her fingers to the pendant at her neck. She unclasps it, kisses it like a cross. Close the pendant. As Juliana sets it down on the dresser, exits the room. Cut to interior Frank and Juliana's apartment. Juliana heads to the door, satchel and overnight bag in hand, when she stops. Another thought occurring to her. Cut to, the closet door is opened. Juliana kneels, opens the cans of old movies, finds a Popeye cartoon. She takes the film out of its can, tucks it under her coat. As she closes the door, cut to exterior Frank and Juliana's apartment. Juliana steps outside, then stops, surprised to see Donnie, the teenager from Aikido, coming up her steps.
Tony?
Miss Crane, you said tea this morning.
Yes, of course.
Donnie's eyes drift to her open satchel. The film reel marked the grasshopper lies heavy, plainly visible. Juliana quickly clutches it closed.
I'm so sorry. I forgot to have I have an appointment. Can we do this another time?
Donnie looks worried. Does he know what the film means?
Yes. Okay.
Thanks, Donnie.
Juliana hurries away, but Donnie lingers, looking after her, his face unreadable. Interior semi-truck, day 2. How much is that doggy in the window on the radio? Rural countryside flies by outside the window. Joe's been driving all night. His eyes tired. He needs a shave when, kabam! A tire blows out. Joe, suddenly alert, grips the wheel, swerves, the rig nearly sliding into a culvert before Joe manages to regain control. Skid to a stop. Exit Autobahn, day 2. Joe climbs from the cab, sees the rear tire blown to shreds.
Oh, shit.
He looks at the nothingness around. Joe looks for tools to fix the tire when the sound of a car pulling to a stop. As he turns, a Nazi police car has rolled to a stop behind the truck. A uniformed police officer, 40, gets out, looks at the blown tire. Seeing Joe climb down from the payload,
Blowout, huh?
Yep, no toolkit. Not good.
I've got one in the trunk. Let me give you a hand.
Thanks. I really appreciate that.
the police officer heads back to his car. As he does, Joe looks towards the cab of his truck. He's left the envelope with the 16mm film on the seat in plain sight. Exterior Autobahn, day 2. The truck jacked up. The officer tightens the spare tire. On his arm, Joe notices a military style tattoo, a dagger through a rose. He finishes, dusts himself off.
There you go.
Thanks a lot.
There's no diners for another 5 hours or so. Why pack an extra sandwich if you're hungry?
You don't mind?
Not at all. I'm going to need to see your transit papers.
Oops, sorry.
Sure, no problem.
While the officer heads back to his squad car, Joe climbs in the cab, grabs his transit papers from the glove box, then quickly tucks the envelope with the film reel under the seat. He steps back onto the road as the officer returns. Joe exchanges the transit papers for a sandwich and wax paper.
Egg salad. Hope that's okay.
Oh, great.
The officer inspects the papers, writing particulars in a pad.
This your first long haul?
How'd you know?
Not having a toolkit. That's a pretty rookie mistake.
Joe takes a bite of his sandwich.
Guess so. It's my first time out of New York, actually. First time seeing the country.
Well, here it is.
You mind I ask, the tattoo on your arm?
A soldier so fierce he'd killed a rose.
That was you?
Long time ago, but we lost, didn't we? Now I can't remember what we fought for. Your dad a bet?
Yeah.
He must be proud. Fine young man like you.
We're not really close. But me getting this job, it was pretty important to him.
Joe notices some fine, flaky particles floating in the air.
What's that?
The officer looks up, sees them too.
The hospital?
The hospital?
Tuesdays, they born cripples, the terminally ill. Drug on the state, you know.
The officer hands back the transit papers.
Have a safe trip, son. Make your old man proud.
He heads back to his squad car, but Joe stares at the flecks of gray ash in the sky. Thousands of them. Some cling to the bread on his sandwich. He can't eat. Cut to exterior street. Transbay bus terminal, day 2. Juliana stops, takes the ticket out of Trudy's satchel, looks up at the Art Deco facade of the Transbay bus terminal.
And that's
Look-
up section.
Yep.
Oh, is it? Okay, great.
Yeah.
All right.
Interior, Transbay Bus Terminal, day 2. Juliana moves through the terminal, crowded with people, noticing uniformed Japanese police officers. Some are posted near the department gates. Others question passengers. She grips the satchel close to her chest.
Can I help you, miss?
She's nearly walked into a Japanese officer.
I'm
Just then,
Hey there, you are.
Juliana turns, sees Randall. Juliana covers her surprise, mindful of the officer, as he takes her by the elbow.
you.
I
Is it
gave
wrong?
Trudy that satchel you're carrying. Where is she?
Dead. They shot her last night.
Oh, Jesus.
Randall looks like he's been punched in the stomach, tries to maintain composure.
You the one who got her into this?
I suppose so. Who are you?
Her sister, Juliana.
Give me the film. Juliana,
I'm going in her place.
they're expecting Trudy, not you.
I'll say I'm her.
No, too dangerous.
So that's it? She dies for nothing?
Not nothing. She died doing the right thing.
The right thing? You gotta be fucking kidding. What do I do when I get there?
Randall sees the Japanese officer moving towards them. He takes Juliana by the elbow, leads her towards the bus.
You wait.
I wait?
They'll come to you if it's safe.
They've reached the bus door, but there's something Juliana still wants to know.
This film, what does it mean?
If I knew, I wouldn't tell you.
That will have to do. Juliana starts up the steps. Randall walks past the Japanese officer, avoiding his gaze. Off of the officer, unsure whether to be suspicious. Exterior/interior, bus day 2. Juliana makes her way down the aisle. For the first time, we see the faces of blacks and Hispanics in nearly every seat. A middle-aged woman, seated next to a large African-American man, looks from Juliana, sitting across the aisle, out the window to Randall disappearing in the terminal. The driver closes the accordion door, drives out of the station. Juliana looks out the window. Excuse me. Juliana looks out the window, clutching the satchel. In spite of it all, she's scared to death. She looks up, sees a plane streaking across the sky. Exterior, San Francisco, Hirohito Airfield, day 2. A German V-9E rocket plane lands. Taxis. It looks much like a Concorde SST, skinned with Nazi swastikas. Angle the tarmac. Tagomi and Kotomichi, the trade officers, wait as stairs are wheeled to the plane. Passengers deplane, among them Victor Baines, a Swedish businessman, 40s, well-dressed. Tagomi and Kotomichi step forward to greet him.
Mr. Baines, I am Nobusuke Tagomi.
Mr. Tagomi, very kind of you to meet me in person.
Trade relations with Sweden are important to the Pacific States. My associate, Mr. Kotomichi.
How was your flight, Mr. Baines?
New York to San Francisco in under 2 hours.
German technology is unparalleled. We Japanese cannot hope to compete.
Technology is not the measure of the great civilization.
Tagomi makes a small smile.
Mr. Kotomichi will see to your baggage. Please.
Kotomichi goes off. I said that super weird. Sorry. Kotomichi goes off. Tagomi indicates a Mercedes limousine. Interior, Mercedes limousine, day 2. Baines sits in the back across from Tagomi. A plexiglass. I can't talk apparently. A plexiglass barrier between them and his chauffeur. As the car starts moving,
Forgive me, Captain, but I need to confirm your identity.
Baines reaches for a wallet.
Of course.
He hands Tagomi an SS document with his photo, showing his true identity as Nazi Captain Rudolf Wegener.
I have consulted the I Ching. The oracle favors our meeting.
Good to hear, since both of our governments would execute us if they knew we were talking.
The man you are to meet will arrive from Tokyo in 2 days' time.
He is traveling with the crown prince and princess.
What news do you bring from Berlin?
The Führer's health is poor. Goebbels and Himmler are jockeying for power.
Neither seeks peace.
The Nazi state has the atomic bomb, and while they deny it in public, both men believe the partition of the Americas was a mistake.
Then there will be war.
Once the Führer dies without question, and the city will be one of the first erased from the map. What are you so gloomy about, Mr. Togome? You said the Oracle favors our meeting.
Fate is fluid, Captain Wegener. Destiny is in the hands of men.
Exterior street, day 2. As the limousine drives past, heading toward the city. Interior factory, day 2. A giant assembly line, much like the ones we saw in the Nazi newsreel. Machines stamp out metal parts, hand-assembled by apron workers. Among them, we find Frank, assembling replicas of old Colt 45 revolvers. Across from Ed, he does his job efficiently, but keeps looking up at the officers overlooking the floor. Something is on his mind.
What happened last night?
Huh?
The phone call at the bar. What was that about?
Nothing. Cover for me, will you?
Okay, sure.
Interior factory, office, day 2. Wyndham Madsen, 50s, small, paunchy, but vigorous, works at his desk. He hears a knock on his door, sees Frank. Mr. Madsen?
Yes, Frank?
I'm just wondering, have you had a chance to look at the designs?
You just gave them to me this morning, Frank.
Right. And?
And as it happens, I have looked at them. They're quite beautiful,
Thank you.
but degenerate, Frank.
You just said they were beautiful. How can jewelry be degenerate?
The Japs only want old-timey stuff, like those Colt 45s down there, Americana.
No one's actually tried selling them jewelry.
And no one's going to, because no one wants to land in jail. Come on, Frank, come back from fairyland. You're a solid worker. You've got a solid job. Count your blessings.
Exterior, real, autobound, day 2. The Greyhound bus wipes through the frame, heading towards the Rockies. Interior bus moving, day 2. Juliana checks her watch, looks out the window.
May I?
She looks up, sees the middle-aged woman from before.
Sure.
She sits in the seat next to Juliana.
Guy next to me was snoring. I can never sleep on buses. Can you?
Juliana looks over, sees the large African American asleep.
What brings you to the neutral zone?
Just visiting a friend.
You must have some interesting friends.
I don't know what you mean.
You see any other white girls on this bus? Look at them all, darling. Wrong color, wrong religion, wrong bedmate. If the Nazi catch 'em, poof, up in smoke they go. But the Japs are happy to let 'em scramble out of the Pacific states, hole up in the Rocky Mountains, or run down to South America if they like.
Like the neutral zone.
Ever see those old westerns the Fuhrer watches? It's like that. Lawless, except for the marshal, of course.
The marshal?
This is your first time, isn't it? A Nazi agent hunts down enemies of the Reich and strings them up and burns them alive.
Juliana is horrified, but the woman goes on, matter of fact.
Just about everybody in the neutral zone's got a gun and a secret.
It's yours.
Fear of flying. I'm in the import-export business. Katie Owens.
It's set as a prompt.
Trudy Walker.
Juliana turns uncomfortable. There's a sign out the window. It reads, in Japanese and English, now leaving the Japanese Pacific States. A sign in German and English, you are now leaving the greater Nazi state. We are external Nazi checkpoint. Day 2. A line of cars and trucks approaching the gateway to the neutral zone. Camera adjusts to find Joe's semi approaching. Interior, semi-truck, day 2. Joe looks at the checkpoint with dread. As he swallows, starts to pull over. Pre-lap the ringing of the phone. Interior phone booth, day 2. Joe stands inside, truck parked beyond. He listens to the phone ringing and ringing. Finally, he hangs up, frustrated. As he retrieves his coin, heads back to his truck. Interior, Rikers Island, cell, day 2. Obergruppenführer Smith enters, finds Warren hanging from his chains, badly beaten and unconscious. He turns to his aide.
Where is this man's minder?
I'll find him. Obergruppenführer.
The aide goes off, leaving Smith alone with Warren. He inspects his wounds, gently lifts his head, seeing his eyes swollen shut, lip busted. The aide returns with the guard who gives a Nazi salute.
Heil Hitler.
Why was this man left unattended?
The subject has lost consciousness, Obergruppenführer.
I can see that.
The guard looks confused.
Your orders were to flog this subject until he answered your questions.
Obergruppenführer, the subject cannot wake up.
Has he answered your questions?
No, Obergruppenführer.
Then your orders are to keep flogging him.
The guard looks to the aide, but his eyes show nothing.
You torture men, Sergeant. You have a problem beating a man to death?
No, Obergruppenführer.
Then do as you're told.
Smith goes off with his aide. The guard looks to Warren, reluctantly picks up the club with the barbed wire. Interior, Rikers Island, hall, day 2. The aide, Eric Areda, walks at Smith's side.
You're smiling, Eric.
The subject will die in captivity.
That's correct.
His body would only be so disfigured if he refused to talk. His friends in the resistance will conclude he told us nothing.
They will conclude that we don't know that truck is heading to Cannon City, or what it's carrying.
I have much to learn from you, Obergruppenführer.
Now it's Smith who smiles. Cut 2. Dear Frank and Juliana's apartment, night 2. Frank enters, sets down the portfolio. Jules? Goes to the kitchen, opens the fridge, pulls a tap out of a can of beer, takes a swallow, then. Jules? Getting no answer, he walks across the living room to the bedroom, finding it empty, too. But he notices the heart pendant on the dresser. Frank picks it up. Oh, Jesus. Off Frank, his rising concern. Interior, bus night. Night 2. Juliana slumped against the glass asleep. When her eyes flutter open, noticing the bus has stopped. It's been parked for a while. Several people have moved down the aisle, back towards their seats. Juliana sees Katie is no longer beside her, then looks her POV through the window. Katie walks towards an African-American man in a rusted-out old car. On her arm, Juliana's black satchel. Close, Juliana. Alarm rising in her throat. She taps the glass, tried to draw Katie's attention. Insistent, but not loud. She has to be careful not to attract attention. But Katie hears her tapping, looks at her expression impassive. She had a role to play she had to play the role of Chatty Cathy before, but she's really a thief and no longer tries to hide it. Juliana rises, struggling past the people going the other way, making it to the front, just as the driver closes the door.
Wait!
Bus is leaving.
I left something out there.
Driver pulls open the accordion door.
Go get it. But the bus is leaving.
Juliana looks from the driver to outside the door. The car with Katie and the African-American man is driving off. Juliana starts back towards her seat. The driver closes the door, satisfied, puts the bus in gear. Angle, Juliana, sits, then pulls a reel of film from under her coat, wrapped in manga comics and labeled The Grasshopper Lies Happy. She lost all of her belongings, but she had the film the whole time. Exterior, Rural Road, Night 2. As the bus wipes past Frame, driving on into the night, cut to exterior motel, interior truck, Kanan City, Night 2. Joe's truck pulls to a stop outside, the buzzing neon sign reflected in the windshield. He reaches for his overnight bag, pulls the envelope with the film reel from the steering column, stuffs it in his bag. Pre-lap, the sound of urgent knocking then. Interior, Frank and Juliana's apartment, Night 2. Frank pulls on a robe. The knocking continues. Coming! Frank goes to the peephole, sees POV wireframe man. Stands outside with plainclothes man and 2 soldiers. Zoom Frank. He swallows and then latches the door.
Mr. Frink?
Yes?
Inspector Kido.
The wireframe man, Inspector Kido, shows his ID, steps inside. The soldiers move past Frank, begin searching the place. What's going on?
You cohabit this apartment with Miss Juliana Crane, do you not?
Yes.
Where is Miss Crane?
I don't know. She left early this morning. Aikido practice.
Aikido practice.
The dojo on Mission Street.
Hmm.
Kido exchanges a look with the other man.
Were you aware her half-sister, Miss Trudy Walker, was engaged in treasonous activity?
I didn't really keep in touch with her. Neither did Juliana. The soldiers have finished the search.
This is a national security matter, Mr. Frink. The penalties for perjury are severe.
I'm telling the truth.
I hope so.
He lets himself out with the others. Frank leans against the shut door, relieved for now.
Exterior street, early morning 3. A bus wipes frame, revealing Juliana standing on the sidewalk. A dusty main street. Welcome to Kanan City sign arching across the road. The Sunrise Diner down the block. Interior Sunrise Diner, early morning 3. Juliana finishes breakfast. She reaches for her purse to pay the check. Then she remembers her wallet is gone. She bites her lip. Looks at the lanky barman, 40s, thinking. Angle on the barman, toothpick in his mouth. Juliana approaches.
So sorry, but I can't pay for breakfast.
The barman gives her a long, suffering look.
You what?
Someone stole my wallet, all my money. I'm really sorry.
This ain't a charity, lady.
I know, I'm really embarrassed.
How you gonna pay me?
I told you I can't.
Wrong answer. How you gonna pay me?
Juliana looks at the window. A waitress wanted sign.
I guess I could work for it.
He looks from the sign back to Juliana.
You have any experience?
I learned fast.
He sighs.
What's your name?
Juliana hesitates, then.
Trudy Walker.
All right, Trudy. Grab yourself an apron.
What, right now?
You got anything better to do?
Pre-lap the sound of a phone ringing. Ring, ring. Exterior Sunrise Diner, early morning 3. Juliana looks at a payphone, listening to it ring.
Frank, I gotta talk.
Intercut. Interior Frank and Juliana's apartment, early morning 3. Frank at the window, coffee in hand as he watches TV, conferring with a secret policeman on the sidewalk below. He listens to the phone ringing, moves toward it.
They're tagging the line. Can't call me Jules.
As he yanks the cord from the wall. Sunrise Diner, day 3. Joe enters, walks past the counter, noticing a man with a lined face, 50s, poring over a book as he eats. Joe takes a seat in the booth. The barman gives a prompting look to Juliana, still trying on the apron. She grabs a coffee pot and hurries to Joe's side.
Coffee?
She smiles. He smiles and meets her eyes. Joe? Vicky? Is Vicky here?
Yeah. Yes, please. How many eggs you got back there?
I don't know. Plenty?
Good. Bring me a whole plateful, over easy,
Okay.
and a bunch of bacon.
Coming right up.
She starts off, stopped by.
Hey, you ever been to New York?
Never. Why?
You look familiar. I could swear I've met you before.
I can swear you haven't.
Joe watches Juliana's figure as she walks off, attracted to her, then looks at the lined-faced man, wondering if he's the man he's here to meet. Exterior Sunrise Diner, day 3. Juliana steps outside, surprised to find Joe waiting for her.
You off work?
For now.
Can I buy you a drink?
From behind his back, he holds up 2 long-necked beers.
Still think I know you from somewhere?
Off Juliana, wondering if this could be Trudy's contact. Cut to the exterior main street of Cannon City, day 3. Juliana sits on a wall with Joe, beers in hand.
You're not wearing a name tag.
I'm Trudy.
Trudy. Pleased to meet you, Joe.
Joe offers his hand, playfully formal. As they shake, we cut to the exterior of Lariat Shipping, day 3. An unmarked van lurches to a stop, engine idling. Something is thrown on the sidewalk. The van screeches off. Doc steps out, turns over Don Warren's disfigured corpse.
How long you been in Cannon City, Trudy?
Just got here, as a matter of fact. How about you?
I'm just passing through. That truck over there is mine.
Exterior street, San Francisco, day 3. Randall hurries past bleachers and bunting, in place for the visit of the Crown Prince and Princess. Sees Japanese police officers following him. Passes Rudolph Wegener, who steps outside a hotel and lights up a cigarette, thinking.
Seem kind of young for a truck driver.
My first run. I'll head back to New York after delivery.
Juliana stares at Joe, trying to decide who he is. Interior office, San Francisco, day. Tagomi at his desk, throwing yarrow stalks to consult the I Ching. He looks at the divination, frowns while. Exterior street, San Francisco, day 3. Randall rounds a corner to escape the officers. Runs right into more officers, blocking his way. Off Randall, caught.
You weren't looking for anyone named Trudy, were you?
No.
This is just... You really just wanted a beer?
Yeah, why? Is that so weird?
Juliana shakes her head, disappointed.
No, guess not.
Interior Frank and Juliana's apartment, day 3. A knock on Frank's door. Frank opens and is roughly grabbed by soldiers, beaten and handcuffed, dragged outside. Joe remembers something, looks at his watch.
Ah, crud.
What?
I'll be right back.
As he sets down his beer, Juliana watching him go, we cut back to the exterior of Frank and Juliana's apartment, day 3. Doni, the teenage boy from the dojo, stands beside Inspector Kido. Face bruised, he looks at Frank with guilty eyes. He told Kido about the satchel Juliana was carrying. Frank is dragged inside the back of the van, doors slammed shut. Exterior diner, day 3. Joe in a phone booth, listens to the phone ringing, then connect.
You're late.
I tried calling before.
I'm relieved to hear your voice.
Me too. You died pretty good back there.
Interior Rikers Island Hall, day 3. The man on the other end of the line turns to the camera. It's the bald, hook-faced Gestapo officer, the man we saw Joe shoot and kill at the garage. Not dead after all.
Thought maybe I used the wrong gun.
The officer smiles and hands a phone to Obergruppenführer Smith.
How was your journey?
No one stopped me.
Then your cover's intact. Our little show has persuaded the resistance you're one of them. I'll tell your father, Joe. I know he'll be proud.
Thank you, Obergruppenführer. I hope so.
Heil Hitler.
Joe looks through the glass at Juliana waiting for him down on the street, turns his face away.
Heil Hitler.
End of episode.
Dun dun dun.
Ooh,
Dun, dun, dun.
Joe's a spy.
See, now we got to do part 2. Now we can't leave it in a bloody cliffhanger.
Oh,
The
you have to
bloody
still watch the
cliffhangers, they're killing me.
seasons.
You said it's on Prime, right?
Yeah,
Um,
it's on Prime, all 4 seasons.
Right on.
There's only
I-
4 seasons?
I started watching it 2 weeks ago to study for it, and now I'm on season 3.
Well, that's
Oh,
Oh,
intriguing.
that thing will get you.
And yet I still haven't rewatched Wicket. Or, not Wicket.
Willow?
Willow, thank you.
Oh gosh, that brings back memories.
Yes.
Sorry,
Aw.
I thought of Warwick Davis, and my brain immediately went to his first role as Wicket P. Warwick in The Return of the Jedi.
That's what I thought too. That's what I heard too.
Does anyone need a break
Uh.
before we jump in any discussion? Or obviously, if you have to go, you can go too. But
I'm
No,
good.
it's totally fine.
I don't know. I'm just thinking about all the different alternate universes we step in as actors and how we should be really, it's really exciting when we take on a character, we put ourselves in an alternate universe. And then when we take on a new character, we put ourselves in another alternate universe. Like some are intense, but we learn how to adapt, and that's what makes us good actors, our ability to adapt.
well,
Yeah.
this alternate universe has some interesting alternate universe stories in it, which I won't spoil, but
Pretty
if you
good stuff.
watch as you go through, it
Ye-
gets a little more interesting than.
Well, the twist at the end, has anybody ever seen The Spy starring Sacha Baron Cohen? Actually, this makes me think of that, where he has to take on a whole new identity to do some work.
Doesn't ring a bell.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's very intense, and it actually is based on real life events. Yeah. So
Fascinating.
The Spy.
But but there's a lot of heavy themes here. Really fascinating.
Everybody did a great job.
Yes, you all did great.
So
I
those
noticed
of
that we
you
have a
who
lurker
haven't-
here. Hello, Steve.
Oh yes.
Hi,
Steve.
Steve.
Those of you who have not seen this before at all, thoughts so far on what you think is happening here or might be happening? Where's our script going to go? Anyone?
I don't know yet, but I'm thinking about my personal life and the different alternate universes I've been thrown into because of life circumstances, and I don't know if I should bring that up or not. But I will, since everybody's eyeing me.
Yeah, I'm like, what? Continue?
Like, I guess, like in 2017, I ended up getting diagnosed with endometriosis. Before that, I had a plan of finding somebody, getting married, having kids. But all of a sudden, endometriosis is a disease where you might not be able to have kids. And it's like, okay, plan blown straight to hell. Sorry, is that a bad word here? Plan
Oh, shit,
blown
no.
straight to hell. Plan blown straight to hell, shot straight into the alternative universe where nothing makes sense anymore. And you're pretty much staring at a whole new world and thinking, oh my God, where am I? I'm lost. I don't know what to do. And I have this whole life that I planned for and hoped for gone. And now I'm having to rebuild like these people. They're in this strange world. They have to learn how to survive in circumstances they might not necessarily like, but they're faced with. And they have to make the best of it, whether they like it or not. And like it was last year, I found a lump in my neck.
Oh man.
They thought it was like, I was told, oh, you've got this thyroid cancer. But then as time went on, I went through all the testing. They found it was a goiter, and thank God. But I might have cancer thoughts. It's like, it's another alternative universe that you have to make the best of, whether you like it or not. And it's like these people, they're faced with an alternative universe that they're trying to fight and doing their best to fight, but they still have to make the best of things, whether they like it or not. And it's very painful. And you kind of lose bits of yourself that you thought you'd never lose, and having to deal with some terrible things, and then you learn about parts of yourselves and inner strength that you never thought you had, and trying to become a new person that you never thought you'd become.
And we'll see that in this, if you watch the continuing episodes, each character does have to deal with unexpected things, but they won't all deal with them in the same way. Obviously, some will
Yeah.
be a bit more
There's
brave, and some will be a
all
bit more
people.
cowardly, and some will be just a run of bad luck. And
Yes. And everybody goes through a process of grief. Like, who was I before all this happened, and who am I now, and what have I lost? And holy hell, it hurts to lose these things, but they're gone. And what do I do now? Who am I now that they're gone? And how do I build a life? And how do I enjoy that life?
Right. I mean, it very true to how, you look at people that they're thrown into these situations, and these are character studies in a way of like, if things were different, how would people really react to those things? I find that's what I found in this whole script, is that even people like, for instance, Frank, who's hiding as a Jew, instead of being a resistant fighter, he chose to stay with the resistance, or not resistance, just stay with, the system, because he's like, well, I can, as long as I'm not found out, I can at least pretend in the system. And it's really interesting how you meet these people and they're met with these alternate situations. And it's supposed to say you think that you'll act a certain way in certain situations, but the truth is you don't know how you'll act in these situations. This is how we can show you how people can act in those situations. So,
yeah,
And
so
I
Frank's
think
a
that's like,
hider.
I think that whole, like, how learning how to act, learning how to grow, that's probably why I found comfort in the creative arts, especially in acting, especially after I turned 30. Like, I had done a little bit here and there when I was younger, but when I turned 30 and realized a door was closed, I started looking for doors that would open, especially acting, because turning to creative arts and acting and being other characters and just being able to help tell stories, that really just brought some comfort in how and really just helped me to be able to face my new alternate universe. And I just feel very much connected to the script. I know that's a weird thing to say considering the subject matter, but it just makes me really understand that people can make the
excuse me,
best of
sorry.
crazy situations, and it's possible to find purpose even in the darkest of situations and find things to do. It may take a while before you really develop your life into a life that's comfortable, or as comfortable as it can be, given that you can't always control all your circumstances. But
Well, I
it's
think we see that
possible
in
to find a
Trudy.
way to live.
hmm
What?
We see that in Trudy in this film. She tells her sister, right, that she's found the reason. I think that's what she said. The her meaning for living, whereas it's obvious Juliana is still trying to develop her identity here.
She's still searching for
So,
that.
Shauna, you played Juliana. Do you want to talk a bit about that, or have how you think her character might be? Because you said you haven't seen this one before either, right?
I haven't seen this at all, and so I was reading in the comments where Simon said that the back and forth with the lady on the bus was like really really good, and so I was like yes, but
Tasty.
I do feel like Juliana is a bit naive, and she's maybe on a path to learning more about stepping into herself, but she has a ways to go with that because she's still very young and definitely definitely not street smart at all at this point. But I think she's on a mission to find out like what why what happened to Trudy happened and why her half sister got into all of this and why it was worth dying for. So I think it's a really really pivotal character, and I'm very much interested in actually watching the series.
And
It's really
Simon's been
good.
doing that a lot, right? You've been watching, said up to season 3 now, and you're playing a very interesting character in this one, Simon, because your character is or was an American citizen, and now he's working really high level up in the Nazi machine here. So what did you think as you were playing him, Simon? Or as enough of while you're watching this
I mean, he's a very cold man at work, but he cares a lot for his family. That's what I noticed from the show. Um, it's really tricky for me. I've never played cold yet like cool sinister before. So I was sitting there going, "My God, I'm whispering. Am I saying this right? Yes, yes. Torture that man. Torture him good."
that's a hard
Don't
scene.
worry, so we're all mad down here. It's fine.
But yeah, surprisingly, I don't have a lot to say, and I never shut up. So
Well, that's all right. Anyone else want to comment on
Well, I just wonder what this person, Juliana's going to do now that her ID is gone. Her ID is stolen. Like she's having to lie about her name, her identity, and she has no way of proving that she's actually somebody else. So if she ever is caught, which is likely, how's she going to prove that she's somebody else other than who they're looking for? Because they're obviously looking for this person, and her ID is gone. There's no way to prove, hey, she's not this person that's wanted and in trouble, and she has to live with her lie. She constructed this lie and she has to live with it. Like, I don't know, it almost reminds me of Garrick from Deep Space Nine for the Trekkies.
plain
Like he
simple
makes
Garrett.
these lies. He literally makes these lies
Garrett.
and he has to learn to live with them even if people suspect they're not true. He has no way of proving the truth without making himself get into more trouble.
He's such a
I
funny
mean-
character.
He's just a simple tailor. Come on.
Oh, that's BS. So let's just, I won't say any more than that, like that word, because my mom might be watching and she might get mad.
Hello,
She doesn't
mother.
like it when I use that language.
Hello, mother.
Sorry, Mom.
so and Vicky, your character throughout the beginning of the whole show of playing Joe, right? I mean, he seems like his dad is a vet, his dad is an American citizen. Joe is signing up, right? He wants to join the resistance, and it plays it nice and straight all the way through. And then we get to the end and we realize, oh my gosh, he's actually working with the Nazis. Did you see that coming?
I did not see that coming. And there's a good example of doing cold reads. I mean, I was into the character. I knew who I was. No, I didn't.
Did not see that.
But you have to go with the flow. And I hope that I didn't look surprised at myself.
You did well. It actually reminded me of this episode. I'm a big CSI geek. I don't know if any of you are, like CSI New York. There's an episode where there's this Jewish clockmaker that's involved, and all of a sudden he ends up being exposed as like this person who was in Hitler Youth and who ended up being a murderer, someone who was in Hitler Youth and grew up to end up like doing some very bad things, and hid as someone who masqueraded as someone who survived the camps. And it was just a very intense episode. And
it really was. Ed Asner played the part, and he played it very well. And the actor that played his son, and he was grown, he was shocked. He had no idea that his father was that. And they were Jewish. He hid under being Jewish.
And Mac Taylor was actually Jewish. Gary Sinise played off of them very well. And oh, God bless them all. Like I'm and everybody's staring at us like we're geeks. Oh my God.
Nerd.
And it ended like I've seen the episode many times. The way it ends, you can't help but cry. I can't.
God, the thing the guy says at the end. Oh God. Oh.
I'm sorry. Oh, this is CSI that you guys are talking about.
CSI
Right?
New York. We are
New York.
big
Gary
geeks.
Sinise.
And
Right.
like
That's
Gary
okay.
Sinise, oh God bless him. If I could ever get to his level and work with him, that would be a blessing, a heaven on earth. Because he's so amazing with the work he does.
Yeah.
In Forrest Gump and CSI New York, whatever else he's done for veterans, like he has a huge like charity organization for veterans. He's amazing.
Off
Used to be-
topic.
Oh.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead, Simon.
I was gonna say he used to be the guy that you'd see in the Disney World Epcot rocket ship ride.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was the launch commander. Be like, okay, guys, this is Houston. Get ready for launch.
Oh, no, I only know
You're that CSI guy.
I only
Gary
know him as-
Sinise. I actually first where I saw Gary Sinise was on Of Mice and Men, which is another very
Yes.
interesting character study of characters and people. Um, so yeah, but this script was really heavy. It really put a lot. So all these characters, all these actors, they have to get character people who can do this character work because that's really hard. Like you were saying, Heather, Heather, it it even though there's alternate realities of things, it's interesting how you can't back away. I think I was saying this too earlier. It's like you can't back away from certain things that are comfortable because as actors we have to confront those. I mean, I'm writing a Western script that takes place in the 1880s, and you get confronted with really uncomfortable things that you don't really want to address because of that. And yet to tell a story, any good story, you can't back away from those things. And it's great to see shows like Man in High Castle who are not afraid to back away from these things, because if we ignore those things, we are destined to repeat them. So it's really great that we have the freedom and the liberty to absolutely go through these uncomfortable situations, these scenarios, look at how people will react in them, because that informs us how we could very easily become those monsters of which we want to fight against.
And it's worth
And that's what Man in the
noting
High Castle does.
that this was written in 2014 and it's 4 seasons long. And if you presume a year per, season or something, that's 2014 to 2018 at least. So it's not that far back in our past when this was made, although it's talking about, a time period that is a little further back and still in some people's memories. I mean, there are people still alive who went through World War II, and all the fallout that happened from that. But, this modern sort of remake of it, it's an interesting topic that they picked, for this time period. So especially given, we try to avoid talking modern politics on this channel, but it's really impossible to do practically because everything we do is political. I mean, whether you choose to go shopping somewhere, and where you spend your dollars. And so, just it doesn't even have to be, large, big issues like racism and war and such. It could be smaller issues. But, the fact that any sort of creative endeavor has to be relevant to someone or it will fail as a show.
Right.
So if folks want to talk about the relevance of this film, I would love to hear thoughts on that.
Oh,
Well,
I just
Let's
sorry.
take turns. Maybe someone I haven't heard from. And if John and
Shen?
Steve want to jump in here too, you're welcome
Yeah.
to.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that the way that this is written, even though it was a cold read, it was very, very easy to get into the scenes and into the characters and the way that the characters are actually feeling and responding, which in the past that has been difficult for me to just be able to just jump into something like that. But it was so intense that like at one point, like I was actually like holding back tears because the scene was
Aw.
just like so, but that's what I was supposed to do in the scene. And that was so like freeing and easy because it just the subject matter of it is something that can really touch different people easily. And I love that about it.
do you know how we get through talking about difficult subjects? So do you know the best way we can get through talking difficult subjects is if we talk about them with each other, the unity. Because if we just keep them to ourselves, if we keep our fear to ourselves, if we keep our concerns to ourselves and never find people that we can actually talk to about them, if we just keep everything to ourselves and let it bottle up, we're going to feel unsafe about everything in the world and think that we can never do anything or feel anything about them. But if we find people with like opinions and a fearlessness regarding discussion, like if we decide to sit together as actors and be unafraid to perform and find commonality in performing and find joy in performing together and talking and sharing about these issues, then we'll have a safe space where we can actually find joy in each other and perform stories that might not otherwise get told.
Yeah.
Now, I suggested this read for tonight, knowing it was the day after the Canada election. I thought that was fitting. And also the times we're in, that the world is in right now.
Mhm.
I thought it was also fitting for that, but especially knowing that we would all know who our prime minister is
Oh
now.
yes. Oh yes.
This does, you were talking about DS9. This kind of reminds me a little bit of one of it's a two-parter episode, and it's called A Glimpse of the Past. And I think I even put
You
that
mean
up as
past
one of the
tense?
episodes. Maybe. It's with Alexander Bell.
That's called, you mean
I thought it was
the
A
one
Glimpse of the
where
Past, but I might
Cisco
be
and
wrong.
Julian and Dax go
Yes.
into the past in the sanctuary cities.
Yes.
That is called past tense.
Okay, yes, then it's
Yeah, I
past
just
tense,
confirmed
yes.
it.
Yeah,
And his
past
name is
tense.
Gabriel Bell.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
Bell Levettes.
Gabriel Bell. Apologies.
That's okay. I'm a geek.
No, usually I am too. I'm usually always I'm always like correcting other people, so it's really funny.
It's one of my favorite episodes.
It's one of mine too. I actually have like, Gabriel Bell for president.
It is a
Um,
crazy episode.
it's amazing, and it's so it's funny because I watched it in 2018 for the first time, and because I had missed DS9. I've watched so much of Voyager and all the others, but DS9 is one that I had actually missed. I'd only seen a few episodes, including one of my favorites was Far Beyond Our Stars. But
God bless you.
It takes
oh,
place
it's one
in
of my favorites.
2024 as well.
But it takes place in 2024, and it's so, in some ways, so close to reality. It's scary that they wrote that in 1994.
The housing crisis
It's
and all that.
oh my gosh, sanctuary cities, all of those things.
And the
There's a
nature
lot
of
that's
forgetting
happening.
to care.
Right. But there's so much that goes on in that it's just, to me, it's just like wild. But this reminds me a lot, um, in many ways, of that same structure of a story where it's very heavy themes. I mean, I think DS9's a little more, I don't say cleaned up, but I mean, like, it's a lot less.
It's darker.
Man in a High Castle, or talk
Yes,
about
Do you
Man in a High
think
Castle?
mine is
Yes.
dark because
It's dark compared to previous entries.
Well, no, I'm not talking about Deep Stein. I'm talking about that episode versus Man in the High Castle. I'm talking about I'm juxtaposing the two against each other. They're very similar, but there's a few things that I think that Deep Space Nine, mostly because of the different constraints they had at the time, did what they could, but they had to kind of clean up some of the themes. But they're very reminiscent of each other. A lot of the episode's themes are all what's that word I want to say? Sorry, I'm having a brain fart of the word. They're all like intro. They're not as in your face. They're a lot more
really?
nuanced, and yeah, I would say that. I mean, yes, there are in your face, but I'm
Have
just
you ever
saying
seen, just a
there.
sec, have you ever seen The City on the Edge of the Forever from Star Trek, the original series?
I have the
Do you
full TOS.
remember,
But let's
do you
let Barbie
remember
finish your
when
thoughts there
Spock
first.
showed Kirk the alternate universe
Yes.
when Hitler won the Second World? I
Yes.
don't think that it's
Oh.
very, I think it's, yeah, there was an episode like that. If people
Yeah.
haven't seen it, I recommend you watch it.
Yeah, World War II
TOS
ends
is among
a
my
lot
favorites.
differently because one character doesn't die when they're supposed to.
Right. Yeah, and she helps win the war for Nazi. Yes, I remember that actually very well. It's a great episode. I love Star Trek for that reason. I'm a big Trekkie.
Anyway,
I mean,
sorry,
some of the
finish
names
your-
are, but no. What I was saying is like juxtaposed. The themes are very, very similar. That's what I was trying to get at. This,
Okay.
in some ways, of the character studies is much more realistic, more in your face. The themes are much more not as hidden. They're not as understated. the themes are there in Deep Space Nine's episode, but because of the safety constraint or the TV constraints, they had to put a lot of that as like undertones. Sorry, the undertone is the similar, but the overtones are different because of the way that the people have to do that. So that was my whole thing about it. I'm sorry if that got a little long-winded.
No, that's okay. I have ADHD and it just pops everywhere. So blame me.
Me too. So
You've got sanctuary cities, and you've got in the DS9 episode, you have sanctuary cities, and you've got folks going back to the past trying to. In that particular episode, there is a key character who manages to get the sanctuary cities so that it's not just like crowd all these people here and have all these people here. They've managed to restore back into more equal situations as opposed to.
Gabriel.
Well, if it were only that easy, it wouldn't be a two-parter episode, but we won't go into details.
Right. So of course here we've got two different parts of the country in San Francisco and the whole West Coast and the whole East Coast area, and having to have characters very much it does not look far, you can't just rely on one person to change everything, and start a movement. This as opposed to that one simpler version in the Star Trek episode.
Oh,
Yeah.
can I just bring up another piece of Star Trek? I don't know if half of you have
If
seen
it's related
Picard.
to this, yes, Heather. If it's related
Yes,
to the
yes,
Man
yes,
in
yes,
the
yes,
High
I
Castle.
swear to God, it is.
Literally
Everything has
rewatching
been.
Picard with my kid.
Yes, Picard. Do you remember season 2 when they went back to the past?
We're on that season right now.
Yes, remember, like, I don't know, but there will be a time where they will go back to the past and there will be a singular person whose impact on the past will bring them the future that they have. You will see it.
Yeah,
Yes.
what's her name? Renee Picard? No.
Yes, yes.
There are several episodes like that, key moments. in the
Yes.
series. And the key moment in High Castle, of course, is the losing of World War II.
Right.
It's probably not just a single moment, but it does make, it does beg the question too, though, is how the war ended, and because they never talk about that in this particular episode. It's, how did they manage to divide Germany get this side and Japan gets this side and nobody takes the middle? It's one of those questions that maybe gets answered later on in the series, but that's one I was wondering, is how did they manage to get it, because the whole distance across the ocean too makes a lot of logistical questions rise up. Aubrey.
I also have a interesting, like with the film reels and such too. I know that's probably going to play a very key thing in as the show goes on as well, obviously. But it's like, how did they get those reels? How did that all come to be and happen? And why is it so parallel to our world? It's
That's
really
a
fascinating.
Very good question, and it does play out later on as to why we have footage that we ourselves might recognize that the characters in the script do not.
It's almost like a Mandela effect for them
hmm
because it's showing, how it really was for us, but
Right.
they're told something completely different.
I really like who they cast as the Man in the High Castle too.
I haven't got that far in the series,
Okay, I won't say who it is.
but yeah, the film is definitely, the films I should say, is definitely a key part of the whole premise behind this show. It's not just an alternate reality of what could happen if
You know what?
Germany-
You asked a
the
question
Axis
earlier about how they divided it. Maybe like the Germans and the Japanese realized, hey, if we just blow each other up and wreck each other, we're gonna have nothing left. So why don't we come to an agreement and just lay our superpowers aside and rule together? Because ruling held together is better than having nothing at all.
Hmm.
And you can tell from the part where the Germans and the Japanese are meeting together in office, that the Germans are in their minds, letting the Japanese have the West Coast for now.
Well, it's sort of like, I don't know if any of you know about, if you watch the con parts of TOS, it's like, it's better to kind of rule in hell than serve in heaven type of thing. But I don't think the Japanese realize that Hitler's literally letting them serve in his heaven instead of rule in hell.
Maybe. Now
Oh.
keep in mind that the Japanese side, and I have to, is they're not portrayed. You can't portray it all as one. What the word I'm looking for. unified front. You know, even within the German and Nazi side, there's people who are not necessarily agreeing on
Yeah.
face to face and everything. When we see here Tagomi, right, the trade minister, you know, he's getting ready for the crown princess, and then we see Kido, the inspector, the wire-framed man, right? Very, very different takes toward what they believe their government is doing in this occupation, and that'll play out later too. So
Well, it
I-
just seemed, sorry.
Mhm.
I think that the Japanese, I think they're both playing their own games of war because the Japanese feel like they're entitled to a certain part. I get the sense that they also know that they're kind of on a precipice. Yeah, they're on rocky surfaces with the German. You can see that the tension is there, absolutely. And so yet they feel, knowing the Japanese culture, I get that they're like, we're just going to play to them as much as we can because saving face is everything. I will show you as much honor as I can, even if I don't agree with it, because I'm going to play that long game. Because that's just the Japanese. That's how they are. If I have to deal with this, I will deal with it as long as I can. And I'm saying this from someone who's studied the culture, who has, you know, who's
and you're not wrong.
speaks Japanese and all that. And thank you. I appreciate I appreciate that. Because if I'm completely off, absolutely tell me. But what I do get is that they also know that their days are numbered because they know what the Germans did. They know that, and at any point, if they did not help them in the war, that they could easily just become there. So that's kind of what I got. So they're biding their time until they can do what, you know, they plan to do. So that's my whole thing on that. Anyway.
Other
Thank you for my
comments?
TED Talk.
Yeah. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk, everybody.
Hey.
See, Simon, you're not the only one who can't shut up.
Who? Where? Me?
Simon?
Yes.
Yeah, no.
So coming up, we'll have, and Heather, I'll get to your question in just a sec. So coming up, not next week, we'll take a break for a week, and then the week after that, we actually have a film coming up, and I think if I looked at the votes correctly, the winner of the poll was Dead Poet Society.
Ooh, yes.
So that's a Robin Williams film, of course.
Oh, God bless
and
him.
Set in an old boarding school of very proper young men who he wants to inspire a little bit of critical thinking skills in, to put it mildly. So, and a very, very emotional film at times. So that'll be a fun one. We'll do it over 2 Tuesdays, like we've been doing most of our films since. So we'll do the first half on May, what is that, 12th? No, 13th, I think. And 13th and 20th, we'll do those two. And then, Heather, did you want to drop in some socials, as you say?
Yeah, because I mean, if everybody wants to get to know each other, I'm okay with that.
Okay. What did you have in mind?
I'll just leave it in the chat.
Okay. All right. Other thoughts before we head out for the evening?
Yeah, it's midnight here.
Yeah. I know,
Yeah.
It's really late. It's a really long episode.
It was like, if you want to see more of our stuff, you can find us on our socials, I guess. If we wanted to promote ourselves, we could. Probably not, though. We're tired, right?
I think we are. That's why we do it in the beginning when we're not tired.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
From the
I am
keyboard.
going to say adieu
Yes.
to you
Yes.
and you and you.
Thank you.
me.
Very-
Yes, Bonne nuit, you beat me to it.
Ha!
Lara?
Guten Nacht.
Thank you very
Oyasumi
much.
nasai.
Thank you very
Sure.
much for joining us tonight. Live long and prosper, everyone.
Indeed.
Otsu.
Peace and long life.
Good night and have fun storming the castle, you all.
Yes.
Good night, everyone.
It's a
Good
PD day
night.
for the kids tomorrow, so I get to sleep in.
Woot woot.
All right. Toodle.
Bye.
The record